Hello, everybody. This is Dave, Independent Outsider. And this is a letter from certain members of Congress to Megan Brennan, who is currently the Postmaster General, but basically just holding the position until President Trump appoints someone else. She decided to retire in January and is just, as I said, holding the position for now. So let's get right into it. So, Congress of the United States, Washington, D.C., 20515, March 25th, 2020. That's a few days ago. To Megan Brennan, Postmaster General and Chief Executive Officer, United States Postal Service, 475 L'Enfant Plaza, Southwest, Washington, D.C., 20260. Dear Postmaster General Brennan, we write to echo the concerns of the more 74,000 United States Postal Service employees who have publicly stated that the United States Postal Service is not doing enough to support its staff or protect our communities during the outbreak of COVID-19. These concerns have only grown with the news that at least 40, by the way, make that 42, USPS employees have tested positive for coronavirus. There were 2 in my facility, one yesterday and a second today. So that's at least 42 now. We understand the important place the USPS has in our communities. Millions of American families depend on the USPS to receive their medicine, pay their bills, remain in contact with loved ones, and here we go, they always have to get it in, and even to vote. But we also owe it to the hardworking employees of the United States Postal Service to ensure they receive adequate benefits and protections during the coronavirus crisis. Specifically, we are concerned with reports that letter carriers have been pressured to continue working despite displaying symptoms of COVID-19, including reports that some employees were forced to work until they were able to produce a doctor's note confirming they had contracted coronavirus, a significant challenge given the shortage of available tests. We are also disturbed by reports our offices have received from constituents that the United States Postal Service has refused to adhere to screening protocols enacted by senior facilities in New Jersey that are meant to protect its residents, many of whom are considered high risk. So those are older customers or those with conditions, that kind of thing. And we are extremely concerned by reports that many letter carriers are not provided with hand sanitizer, masks, or gloves, even though they rarely have the time or opportunity to wash their hands while they are delivering mail. Our offices have heard from multiple United States Postal Service employees, as well as concerned citizens, expressing concern that the entire USPS infrastructure, from processing and distribution centers to individual post offices, are severely underprepared to protect its workforce from coronavirus. We have also heard from multiple USPS employees that their workstations and processing and distribution centers force them to remain in close proximity to their colleagues, in contradiction of guidance issued by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Any failure of the United States Postal Service to keep its workers safe not only puts their employees at risk, but also threatens each of the communities they serve. It has been reported that the virus that causes COVID-19 can be transmitted through mail delivery, through person to person, or can live for up to 24 hours on cardboard and up to 3 days on plastic and stainless steel. Who the hell knows? I'm hearing it can live on paper. I'm hearing it can't live on paper. My stance on this at this point, why take any chances? because I don't know what's true when it comes to that and what, how long it is. And some people say it's a couple hours, some people say it's days. Just be careful. Uh, that means that Americans who are taking every precaution, staying home and practicing social distancing, might risk getting infected with COVID-19 because of USPS's failure to support its staff or protect our communities. We ask that you provide a written response to the concerns raised in this letter and to the questions listed below by no later than March 30th. I'm not going to write it, but I'll give you, a spoken response to these based on where I work at the Bethpage PNDC in Bethpage, New York. That's the place that I know, and I know intimately, and I pretty much know what's going on. What preventative steps is the United States Postal Service taking to ensure its employees do not contract COVID-19? How far apart are employees stationed from one another at distribution and processing centers? Where I am at, I am in what's called the originating sorter, which means that a lot of the mail is going out. We have what's called rollers and induct lines. Some of these things we pull boxes out, gaylords out, but other things, this is stuff that goes out, is sacked. In the areas in which we sack mail, it's tough because you have a roller, then you have space, then you have sacks. Each person has a certain number of sacks. It's generally anywhere from like 4 to 6 to 8 sacks per section, but people have to walk past each other. So it is kind of tight. So you just have to be careful and be aware of what's going on and give each other some space to get out. What precautions is the United States Postal Service taking for mail that has to be delivered who are at heightened risk, including the elderly and those who are immunocompromised? I deal in the processing part of it and not the delivery part. I am hearing that people are being forced to work when they really shouldn't. I'm not surprised by that because I was a letter carrier myself, and that kind of sounds like par for the course. And if that is the case, that's a problem. Will the United States Postal Service temporarily close and deep clean the appropriate distribution processing centers as well as carrier cars in the event a USPS employee tests positive for COVID-19? 2 people have tested positive for COVID-19, and as of right now, management has refused to close and power wash our building. It is a pretty massive building. It is also not actually owned by the Postal Service, so that is a little glitch. You'd have to work it out with the owners of the building. But this is a major sticking point with people in my building, that they are only taking a little bit of sanitizer and sanitizing the areas in which they know someone had COVID-19. So that is the main point, the main sticking point that people are having right now. Even supervisors are coming up to me saying, hey, they could at least take a day, try to power wash as much as they possibly could, wipe it down as much as possible. Even if it doesn't have COVID, there's layers of dust everywhere, and it needs to be cleaned. And they're refusing to do it, saying that it's clean enough. I disagree, obviously. How many people, oh, I like this one. How many employees typically gather together for the USPS's daily service talk on health and safety protocols? Are employees a minimum of 6 feet apart during these daily huddles? No. Lately, most of the time in my section, it would be about 20 people, But lately, what they have been doing is getting everyone together in like a general area, and there could be anywhere up to 40 people talking about social distancing, and they're crammed together. It's ridiculous. So no, they're not doing the proper thing when it comes to floor talks and having smaller groups and giving them space that they're being lectured to give themselves. Will USPS agree to provide full pay to high-risk individuals or those who live with high-risk individuals for the duration of the pandemic? My understanding is, let us say that I am working with Bob. Bob is determined to have COVID-19. I was working with Bob. I will be quarantined for 14 days and get paid administrative leave unless 4 days in I get COVID myself. And then what they will do is they'll pay me for the 4 days administrative leave in the beginning. And then the rest of the 10 days, I'll have to use my sick time and they'll switch it over, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. You're punishing someone for actually coming to work and putting themselves at risk. So there you go. Will the USPS provide emergency sick leave beyond normal accrued leave to all employees, including those who have no contractual right to leave in the event they contract or are suspected to contract COVID-19? We have had numerous floor talks crammed together. We have had numerous floor talks to say that the leave policy is the same that it has been, and we're not getting anything extra of that kind of thing unless we are unlucky enough to have worked with someone and uh, we are quarantined. And on top of that, they have just started this nonsense. Apparently, there were some people who were in a certain section that worked with someone, and they are being quarantined, but they're being told to come to the building, come around the back, and they will be quarantined in a conference room. What the hell? So that's that's a whole different thing, and that's something that we just found out about, and that's insane. I have never heard of coming to work to be quarantined in a conference room. So okay. How will the USPS implement the new procedure for delivery and pickup that will allow employees and customers to avoid direct contact? Again, that's part of the delivery part of it. Hopefully, they will allow that. I don't know if they're going. I mean, there's certain ways to do it. They used to have uh, drive by, or like it was drive along like curbside mailboxes for the longest time. But the problem was, this was decades ago, they had runways and rollaways, so they stopped that. I don't know what they're going to do in terms of that, especially um, when you have what's called accountable pieces, because people have to sign for it. I don't know. I don't know if you'd have like an electronic kind of thing. I don't know. So here are the. So we have sincerely Cory Booker, Robert Menendez, Tom Malinowski, Bonnie Watson Coleman, Josh Gottenheimer, and Donald Payne. Some of these guys I don't know, but here's my point. A lot of that, what they said, were issues as I went down the line. But that letter was 25th. It's getting worse. Nothing's happening. I haven't seen any legislation or anything of that nature. To me, all that was just grandstanding and making sure that they can say, hey, I wrote a letter to the postmaster general, acting postmaster general, who is a lame duck postmaster general anyway, and probably doesn't really, she's not that invested. I so do I believe that Congress will fix that? Absolutely not. Did they ask a lot of the right questions? Yes, they did. Did I answer the questions in the correct manner? Yes, I did. What do we need to do as employees? We need to band together and let the proper uh, press know, especially local press. If you want to go to Newsday or Channel 12 or any of that kind of stuff, they pick it up. That's great. Uh, Online, that's great. Also, we need to reach out, and I will reach out to, as I said, Amazon workers, UPS workers, FedEx workers. Also, I have heard that Instacart workers are planning a massive strike, and we need to be in solidarity with them as well, because they are also putting themselves on the line and delivering and that kind of thing. So, absolutely, we are seeing this come to a head very, very quickly. Many of my coworkers are very upset. We're being told we're essential employees, but they won't even clean the building because the CDC, and by the way, I haven't found anything about what the CDC says in regards to our buildings or what constitutes a level 1 building or a level 2 or whatever. I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen, supposedly the CDC sent our management a letter. I haven't seen it. We haven't gotten a copy of it. So may even tell my union president to put in a request for information, or what's called an RFI, for that letter if it exists. I want to know what, if anything, the CDC says. That's the other part of this. Congress can say whatever they want, but the Postal Service is a kind of a separate entity. The government when they want to be government, they're non-government when they don't want to be government. If the CDC is saying anything about this, CDC is already having their say. And then if the CDC says, no, it's this, what do you think Cory Booker is going to do? You really think he's going to stand up and fight? No, he's going to back down. Same with Menendez, and same with the rest of the Congress. So we need to continue to educate ourselves and continue to talk to one another and unite. That's the only way this is going to work. So, again, anyone who wants to contact me with any information, please. I'm on Twitter, Independent Outsider. You can put information in the YouTube responses, or my email is indio@protonmail.com. Thanks everybody for listening. I'll talk to you guys very, very soon. Thanks. Independent Outsider out.